So every time I visit this subreddit, I will occasionally see stories of in real life violence and threats. I more frequently see horror stories coming from adventurers leagues and or game store groups. I always think to myself, well, I sure am lucky my game store group is nowhere near that extreme. A little obnoxious? Sure, but that's what happens when you have loud teenagers at the table. Well, let me tell you about the time when that changed. Exactly a month ago, I was busy setting up for the session and looking over my notes when I felt that guy's presence behind me, just staring holes in my back. And he kept staring until I turned around and asked what's up. Strike one. I don't know why he had to watch me from behind and couldn't walk around the table to look at me. I was in the middle of the room. It was not like I was invading the wall's personal space with my face, but whatever. It's a small thing. No biggie. He wanted to know if he could join, and I said yes, but only if one of my players didn't show up. I basically have a regular table with people I've been playing with for a year now. I also made it clear that I cannot guarantee a spot in future sessions. I'm a new DM with 6 players. 6 is my limit. That guy would have been the 7th. A player didn't show up, so I gave him the okay. He immediately asked if we had a Discord group and if he could join so he'd know about future sessions. One of my players said yes and invited him. Strike 2. I thought I made it clear when I said I can't guarantee you'll be playing with us for future sessions, but whatever, maybe he misunderstood and I'll have to remind him later. Besides, the game has started and I didn't want to waste any more time. They fought a water elemental and his aberrant mind sorcerer got swallowed by it, unable to breathe and all. Now note, I was not familiar with the aberrant mind, and the only reason why I allowed him to play it is because he had it ready, and I felt bad making him change. I was also fairly relaxed enough to allow my players to be mystics, blood hunters, and the then unofficial artificers. That guy uses a class ability, transforming his sorcerer into some underwater abomination. Mechanically, it only allowed him to breathe underwater, and I said, that description is so cool. Yeah, you're still grappled, but you're no longer drowning. Later, I found out that it was a level 14 class ability. They were level 5. Strike 3, and unlike the last 2 strikes, no amount of mental gymnastics I did could justify this. Now you may be thinking, so, he's a cheater, but he didn't make you afraid. Where's the danger? Well, it's right now. After the session, one of my players came up to me. Yeah, so I used to play at another game store, and that guy looks a lot like the guy who was banned there for threatening a dude with a knife. Same HP tracker, dice tray, very distinct face. Be careful around him. He got mad and threatened the other dude when he made a joke about his dog. What? It was at this moment when I realized I messed up, and I started to panic a little. Now, I should make it clear that half of my table are minors. One of them is an 11-year-old for crying out loud. I'm not too fond of kids, but I definitely don't want them to get hurt, especially since I love these guys so much. You must also realize that I'm the only woman at the table, and all my players are much bigger and heavier than I am, even the 11-year-old. However, that guy was literally 3 times my size and weight. I could most likely outrun him, but there was no way I could overpower him. The store owner was understandably concerned and said he will run a background check on that guy, just in case the knife thing was only rumors. A few days later, got a confirmation that no, it's not rumors, and he will not be allowed back in the store. And then the panic hit like a train, and the government ordered people to stay home, so we kicked that guy from Discord and are happily playing online for now. Yeah, I would like to apologize for thinking the stories containing in real life violence and threats were a stretch. Didn't actually witness it, but I sure am glad I didn't experience it. Real life is like a real dice roll. You never know who your players are, especially if they are strange strangers. I'm glad that everything is okay, but that situation is pretty worrying. What do you all think about this situation?